The U.S. Treasury is facing a cash crunch and a risk of defaulting on its debt obligations as early as June. This means that the government could run out of money to pay its bills, such as Social Security benefits, federal salaries, Medicaid payments, veterans benefits, and more. If this happens, it could have serious consequences for the economy and the financial markets. The cash crunch is partly caused by a disappointing tax season, which brought in less revenue than expected. The Treasury also had to delay some tax filing deadlines for residents of states that were affected by natural disasters, such as California. In addition, the debt limit, which is the legal cap on how much the government can borrow, has been suspended since July 2022 and will expire on May 31, 2023. The debt limit is a political issue that often sparks a standoff between the White House and Congress. The President and the Democrats want to raise or suspend the debt limit without any conditions, while the Republicans want to use it as leverage to demand spending cuts or other policy changes. The two sides have not reached an agreement yet, and time is running out. According to the Congressional Budget Office, CBO, the Treasury may be able to avoid default in July if it can pull in enough revenue in June, especially after June 15, when quarterly tax payments are due. However, there is still a significant risk that the government will run out of cash in the first 2 weeks of June if Congress does not act soon. The CBO also warned that there is a great deal of uncertainty around its projections, and that the situation could change depending on various factors. The U.S. has never defaulted on its debt before, and doing so could have catastrophic effects. It could trigger a financial crisis, a credit downgrade, higher interest rates, lower confidence, and reduced economic growth. It could also damage the reputation of the U.S. as a safe and reliable borrower, and undermine its global leadership role. Therefore, it is crucial that the U.S. finds a way to avoid default by using a ladder method to climb out of the cash crunch. The ladder method is a way of managing the cash crunch by borrowing money in smaller amounts and for shorter periods of time, rather than issuing large and long-term securities. The idea is to reduce the interest costs and the risk of default by spreading out the debt payments over time. The ladder method can also help the government avoid breaching the debt ceiling, which is a legal limit on how much the government can borrow. However, the ladder method also has some disadvantages compared to other possible solutions, such as raising taxes, cutting spending, or issuing new securities. Some of these disadvantages are: the ladder method may not provide enough cash flow to cover all the government's obligations, especially if the revenues are lower than expected or the expenditures are higher than expected. The ladder method may increase the uncertainty and volatility in the financial markets, as investors may demand higher interest rates or avoid buying government debt altogether. The ladder method may reduce the credibility and reputation of the government, as it may signal that the government is unable to manage its finances responsibly and effectively. The ladder method may not address the underlying causes of the cash crunch, which are the structural imbalances between the government's revenues and expenditures. Other possible solutions, such as raising taxes, cutting spending, or issuing new securities, may have different advantages and disadvantages. For example, raising taxes may increase the government's revenues and reduce the need for borrowing, but it may also hurt the economic growth and reduce the incentives for work and investment. Cutting spending may decrease the government's expenditures and reduce the deficit, but it may also harm the public services and social programs that many people rely on. Issuing new securities may provide more cash flow and flexibility for the government, but it may also increase the interest costs and the debt burden for future generations. Therefore, choosing the best solution for avoiding default and resolving the cash crunch depends on weighing the costs and benefits of each option, as well as considering the political feasibility and public support for each option.